Hi there, thanks for joining me again this week, and welcome to those of you who are new to my gardening channel. I post a new video every Friday, which is a general garden update where I show you what's been going on from week to week. And in this week's video, we'll take a look at 3 different types of turnips that I'm sowing. I'll show you some tins that I have a few ideas for to use in the garden, and I'll share that with you, and we'll cut some lovely flowers. So as well as those things, there's plenty more going on. Let's get straight into the video now. The Primulas in this container here are starting to flower. I showed you this old concrete pot a couple of weeks ago when I had planted it up. It was another gift from my husband's grandma, and I love how the white paint is starting to chip off. I also put these little daisy plants in here with the hope that they'd start to spill over the edge, which they're starting to do. And then in a few weeks time, all of these lovely primula flowers will start to fill out the top, and it's just going to be a sea of pink with the white daisies hanging off the edge. And beside that pot I have a camellia tree, and we're just looking down at the base of the tree where all the petals have fallen down. It looks so pretty. I showed you this last week, but there's even more petals now. It's almost covered in a blanket of them. And the contrast of this plant here, these are the lamb's ears with their silvery foliage against the light pink petals. Looks really pretty. I'm out where the long 15-meter garden bed is now, and this is a marguerite daisy that's about to burst into flower. It's kind of spotted with a few flowers, but there's so many buds on it. If you swing around this way, that lovely silvery foliage plant there is an emu bush, and I've been working on putting some trellises along here. I haven't finished them off, and being a cottage garden, I love intermingling edibles and flowers. And here I've got a red mustard green, and behind it there is a kale, Russian kale, and this one's actually put on a bit of growth over the last couple of weeks. The days have been so warm. It's been in the early 20s, which is incredible for winter, and I've got a feeling that this year a lot of my flowers are going to open up earlier than normal. I'm looking down from the top of the driveway, and it was actually my birthday this week, and guess what I spent my birthday money on? I bought some more compost. Some people might just see it as a pile of dirt, but I see all the flowers and vegetables and fruit that I can get out of it, and I have been moving quite a lot of it. Over here I've actually ended up joining these 2 garden beds together, so you may have seen in some of the summer videos that they were actually separated, and I've changed the edging on it to make them into more of a curve, and I've connected them along here, along this fence line. I need to fix up that fence, but during this summer I'm going to be growing beans and gourds up along this fence, all along the back. And I have been sowing some seeds in here, which I'm going to show you now. I put quite a bit of that compost in here, and I've raised up the soil level quite a lot. I've popped in a couple of perennials there, the hot lip salvias, that's a fountain grass over there. I put some annual daisies along here, and I put some of those seedlings I showed you last week of the choy sum all along the edge here, and I've already made a start on sowing some vegetables in here which I want to share with you, and they are going to be turnips. So if you come down this way, the ones that I've started sowing already are these ones here, but today, later on after the video, I'm going to sow these two varieties. There's this one and this one here, and I actually really love turnips. I think they get a bad rap, but I enjoy eating them. And I'll tell you what happened a few years ago. I discovered a really good recipe by Jamie Oliver where he got turnips and carrots, and it's very simple and basic, but he mashed them together like the way you'd mash up potatoes, and it is absolutely delicious. It is such a good meal. So I'm gonna grow these and see how we go. These ones here actually, I've never grown them before, but I believe that you can pickle them. Has anyone ever tried to do that? They do look very similar to radishes, so that's why I've sown them over in this area, to keep them a bit separate. Anyway, I'll keep you updated on that, and hopefully we'll see some germination in a couple of weeks. I've got quite a few jonquils in flower at the moment. There's this little patch here, and I've got some more flowers in a couple of other areas around my garden. So I'm going to go now and pick a few of them to bring inside and put in my kitchen, because I just absolutely love the smell of them. And only a handful of these lovely pretty flowers will make the kitchen smell wonderful. There you go, I just picked a few, and I picked them from this patch here. So I planted these bulbs a couple of years ago, and last year was quite disappointing. I didn't get many flowers at all, but I'm starting to get much more this year, which I'm delighted with. I think it just needed a bit of time to establish. Last week I mentioned that as well as getting my walk-in greenhouse, I also bought a smaller unit greenhouse, which is this here. I put it together last night. I need to put my trays of tomatoes in here, and this is where I'm going to be putting my plants to germinate, and as soon as they germinate I'm going to be moving them into the bigger greenhouse. Someone I know was throwing out lots of tins, and I asked could I have them all. This is just a little portion of what I've got, and you can see a lot of them are very Australiana as well, so I'm going to use these in the garden. I'm going to put some succulents in some of them, maybe some flowers, but these ones here, the kind of flatter shaped ones, like this one, the Arnott's one, I'm actually going to mount it up, not here, not on this wall, but maybe on one of my fences. I'm going to make a display of them and fill them up with some plants. I've got a few ideas in my head, so just watch this space. I'm over here beside the pea fort that I've made for my kids. You can see it there. It's a bit of an uneven growth at the moment, but hopefully when this area gets a bit more sun, it will fill out nicely. And down here I actually have a bearded iris that's about to flower, which is so unusual for this time of year. They don't usually flower in my garden until spring, and I really do think it's because of the mild winter that we've had so far. The days have just been so warm and very mild frosts. So I'm excited to see what this looks like, and hopefully by next week I'll have some nice flowers to show you. I'm over here by the raised veggie garden area to share with you what my plans are for this little section here. So I have two entrances into this garden bed area. There's the one that you usually see, which is where the rusty old post box is, and then there's one where I'm just standing right here, and my plan is to put in an archway just in this section. I did sow some sweet peas in here in autumn, and you can see that they desperately need to be tied up, so I do need to put this archway in soon. Put some nice potted colours on either side. I think it's going to look really pretty and a nice welcome into this garden. And I can't wait to just sit down at that little table there and have a nice coffee after harvesting some delicious edibles and think about what my plans are and how I'm going to cook them. Here's an Australian wattle tree that I planted a couple of years ago. I actually planted a few of them as little tube stocks, and it's only this year that they've put on so much growth, which I find with tube stocks that tends to happen. It takes a couple of years and then they just take off. But look at this, look at all the flowers that are about to explode. It's gonna look absolutely beautiful. And with wattle trees, they don't tend to last very long. This one here that we're looking at now has been here since we moved in, and I have been pruning it. There's been a lot of dead branches on it. I don't think it has too much longer, but not to worry, because I have a couple more that I planted here beside it that will take over its place, and probably next year I'll plant some more so I have a nice succession of them. But I'm excited. I can't believe it. It's almost spring. Last week I picked off all of the nasturtium flowers, and I just can't get over how many more there are now despite me doing this. They just keep on going, and the petals are so large as well. They're doing so well under the orange tree. This is the old kids wheelbarrow that I showed you a couple of weeks ago that I painted. I haven't forgotten about it. I do want to make it into a fairy garden. I just haven't got around to it yet. It hasn't been a priority, but I just wanted to come back to it to let you know that I haven't forgotten, and I will hopefully get it done in the next few weeks. Here's a lovely calendula flower. The lemon tree is looking better and better each week as all of this delicious fruit ripens. It's not quite as full as the orange tree is, which is just over here, but it produces more than enough fruit for my family, and that's all you could really hope for, isn't it? So lucky to have lovely citrus fruit in my garden. Well, it's time for me to head inside and say goodbye to you for another week. Thank you for watching once again, and if you have any questions at all, please just put them in the comments. If you have any ideas or anything in particular that you'd like me to share in a video, I'd love to hear from you and get some feedback. But until then, I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and happy gardening.